Okay, so I'm recording that, so make sure everybody can see my slide. Looking good, Harish. Yeah, perfect. So what my goal for stage one is that I've been asked to design a data center for our Asia Pac location in Singapore, and this data center is going to serve my customers in Singapore and Asia. Okay, and so the data center is going to be deployed in Asia Pac region. In that data center, so think about data centers like you're asked to set up a computer room like that next door. In that computer room, you're going to provide a bunch of servers, okay? And those servers needs to be in a particular IP subnet. So we are required to define two subnet. One subnet for hosting our data, our web servers. Other subnet is for for hosting our databases. Now, typically, customers don't access database directly. They access the web server accesses the database. So, web server needs to be on a subnet that is publicly accessible. Whereas database server can be a subnet that does not have to be accessed by the public network. However, server VLAN should be able to, subnet should be able to access the database server for communicating. So that is our first stage. In this stage, sorry. Oh, sorry, yes. Thank you for the correction. And it's going to be Singapore. And once that is done, second stage, you are asked to deploy server farm for your web server with load balance and secure certificate for newly purchased domain. Now, in a stage 2, I'm not going to show you how to build a server because I'm only showing that to you on stage 1. In stage 2, I already have 4 servers ready. But those who are seeing for the first time, I'm going to show you how do we curate the servers. Now, this is not a class to learn about how to build a website or how to set up a web server or database. This is not for that class. This is about building the infrastructure. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys? Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what is going on, but I'll repeat again what I'm supposed to do. So I've been hired to build a data center in Singapore. I've been hired to build a data center in Singapore with this subnet, with 2 subnet, one for my server farm and one for my database. Server farm or server VLAN should be accessible from private, whereas database will be secured from outside world. Second stage, you are asked to deploy a server farm for your web server with a load balancer. When somebody go to www.vbcnetwork.com, it should be served by that 4 servers that I'm going to create in my server farm. And if one of them goes down, oh, what is going on with my sharing today? So in the second stage, I'm supposed to deploy a server farm of a 4 web server with a load balancer for this website, www.vbcnetwork.com. I'm going to generate a certificate, like SSL certificate, to secure your network. Saeed, can you see now? Okay. So let's start with the first task. So first task, I am logged into my AWS account, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my region, because you got to be in the Singapore region. So I will choose Singapore, Asia Pacific. Okay. In this Singapore region, I'm going to set up my computer room, or a secure computer room, right? Which is like a data center in that room. Yeah, you close the door for me. To build a secure computer room, you need to go create something called VPC, Virtual Private Cloud, okay, or Virtual Private Network, VPC. Okay. So every region there is a default VPC already created, but we're not going to use that. I'm going to create my own VPC in Singapore. Now in Singapore there's two data center, which is called availability zone. There's two zones for primary and secondary. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create my own VPC, and we're going to call this VPC SG for Singapore, DC Data Center 01. So just the name I chose. Okay. Of course, you can make it a more fancy name, description name, whatever you want. But I would like to call this VPC Singapore DC1.
Faisal, can we do a little in Zoom, if possible?
This is why you should be here.
Again, I don't see.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to put the block of 16, which is the IP address I've been chosen for my data center. Now that's not a subnet IP address, that's an entire data center. And I could have hundreds of network within that subnets. I'm going to let Amazon choose my IPv6, and I will create. So I have my data center created called VPC right there. Now, every data center, once you create it, you have to define, like, okay, when I have that room initially cleaned up, set up, and put all the cabinet and everything, now I need internet, right? I need the internet to go to internet, outside world. So I need to add an internet gateway that is attached to that data center. Now I may have an internet in my home. That doesn't help my data center here. So I must add a gay internet. So next step, I'm going to choose internet. And I'm going to create a gateway, internet gateway. We'll call this VPC SG gateway 01, first gateway. Okay? Or we can say VPC SG DC01 G01, that on data center 01 gateway 01, because I might have two gateway on that network. Create. So now you notice how it says it's detached, because it's not attached to anybody yet. So I must check that. Click on attach to VPC, and you choose this one. Okay, so at this stage I have my computer room ready, I have my internet ready. Now I need to put a server.
Did you put any IP address for you? IPv4?
Yeah, I chose the block 172.16.0.0, right? So next thing I need to do is design my subnet. I mean, obviously, if I'm going to install a computer there, I need an IP subnet, right? So I'm going to go to subnet. How many subnet am I supposed to create? Thanks. So let's create a subnet. So we're going to call this VBC SG DC01 subnet sub SN01, or you can call it server VLAN. The idea about naming convention is that by looking at the naming convention, I should know where it belongs to. So you must follow a good naming convention. And this one should attach to Singapore one. You notice how Singapore has this subnet? So this server VLAN I'm going to put into this availability zone 1A. That means data center A. IP block has to be within this subnet. So 172.16.10.0/24. That is based on the requirement. So who designed this? Solution architect. It's our job to come up with this requirement. And the solution architect also responsible for building this. SysOp administrator responsible to manage it day to day. Okay, so now I'm not going to be concerned about the IPv6 for now, because I don't have any application that use IPv6 anyway. So my first subnet is created. Now I'm going to create a second one. VBC SG DC01 DB subnet. This DB VLAN. Make sense? Same thing. Singapore. This one I want to put a second availability zone in case if something happens to the first one, some unforeseen event. Don't want to use the word. Okay, something got kaboom. Okay. I want to make sure that I have a backup database is secure. One thing has to be secure, right? So we live in a paranoid environment. So the more we sell fear, the more money I can make. Okay, welcome to the capitalism. Okay, so I'm going to choose a secondary zone, and then I'm going to say this is going to be 11.0, second subnet. Don't worry about IPv6. We move on. Now I got two subnet created. Now remember, which subnet is supposed to be public? The server VLAN, right? Because that's facing to the customer. Server VLAN is where my computer is going to be, that is going to be accessed by the customers. So what I need to do on the server VLAN, right there, on the server VLAN, I must go to auto assign IP address. Do I have to do that here? Okay. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you how to obtain your own static IP address. Okay. So on the server VLAN, I must have a routing table that says 0.0.0.0 wildcard, go to the internet gateway. That means any network that is not internal, send the traffic to the default gateway. So I'm going to go to the route table, and I believe this is the Singapore one. Yeah, I'm going to choose this route table. I'm going to go to route. No, I think I have to go to subnet. So subnet, we're going to go to the server VLAN, route table, edit route table association. Okay, it's associated with the 136. Route table is 136. So I got to go back to the main one. Yeah, see 136. So in that, I'm going to say route, edit, add route, 0.0.0.0/0, and internet gateway. This is the only one available. See that? BCSG01. So now I have a static route associated with it. Now in this route table, if I go to subnet association, I can click on edit, and I decide that only server VLAN should be here, not the database VLAN. Okay, I will leave the database VLAN out. Okay, now we're done. Now we're ready to put the first server. So I'm just going to show you how do we create a basic web server with your own blog. So we're going to go to EC2. No instance running now. Can you see that? Launch. I'm going to go to Marketplace and search for WordPress. These are predefined web server with a blog ready to go. So I can use those image. So let's choose the Bitnami. Continue. Now I'm going to choose this option. Now why? Because that's free. While for first 1 year is free to use. So you ask why I chose 4? Because if I want the hardware, I'm going to have to end up paying right now. So what I did because my web server requires 4 gig memory, but the free one comes with 1 gig memory. So I distribute it. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys online?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to click next. I'm going to assign the Singapore data center, this one. Okay, and I'm going to assign the server VLAN. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. Okay. Click next, add storage. I'm going to assign 30 GB of storage. I'm going to assign second volume of 30 GB hard drive. Up to 30 GB is free.
Yeah, it's the name of the snapshot.
Yeah, I could use the snapshot if I want to, but I'm not going to do that right now.
No, actually, the size field is the next one.
Huh?
30 GB size field is the next one.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Did I put it there? Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. So I can say delete on termination. So if I terminate the instance, it will delete the hard drive as well. Sometimes you may want to delete the instance, not the hard drive. For backup purposes, you want to keep it wrong time. Add a server tag. Server tag is just for security. So I'm going to call this name SG server. Server tag is like, when you buy a server, it has a tag on it just for identification purposes. That's all it is. Security group. I'm going to select. I'll let it create. These are the ports that are allowed. Nothing else. Launch. Your instance configure is not free eligible because I have chosen the extra 30 GB of hard drive. So I gotta go back, and delete this. Add tag, security, launch. See, no more warning. However, it does tell me that for security, your group will be created by this, and this is what I'm creating, and I'm ready to launch. Now, most Linux server, you access them by what? By SSH. You either SSH to IP address, and then you ask for the root user ID or whatever the user ID and password. In AWS, by default, all access to the server is using a public key, not username and password. This is the key that you need to generate and save it. If you lose this key, it's becoming difficult to log into the server. You can regenerate it though. So I'm going to say create a new one. Let's call this SG server key. And I can download this. So I'll leave it there. and then launch. Now the program server is being added into my data center as if like you went to that room, plug it in, power it on, turn it on, install the operating system, put the application on WordPress. All this is done in a matter of 5 minutes. All right, so my server is ready, or at least in process of being ready. So let's review it. So while the server is being installed or configured, you notice it assigned a private address, 172.16.10.117. Who assigned it? From our server VLAN. But there is no public address. So we're going to purchase a public address, actual real public address. To do that, I gotta wait for the instance to be created. So it's running now, but the software being rebooted, like operating system coming up and blah blah blah. So next step I'm going to do is I'm going to obtain a public address and attach it to this server. Okay. So to do that, I go to Elastic IP, add allocate new address, scope VPC allocate, and this is the IP address they gave me. That's actually a real public registered address. So now I'm going to have to associate that with that server I just created. I do that by going to associate address, choose the instance, SG server, and that's the IP address. I'm going to select this, allow Elastic IP address to be reassociated if already attached, so I can change it from one server to another server. Okay, so now Elastic IP address has been assigned. You can go back to the EC2 instance. You'll see the IP address right there. If the IP address is not assigned to the EC, then it's going to cost you. Otherwise, it's free. Okay. So, as you can see, my page is still being initialized. So I gotta wait until that comes up for you to show you what this page does. So this will conclude my stage 1 requirement, that I build a data center in Singapore. I configured 2 subnet. I added an internet gateway, and I was able to configure an instance and assign an IP address. And not only that, I got a web server running. Well, almost. Okay, it's done. So I'm going to copy the IP address. Habibi, I have a blog ready. Okay, production ready to go, internationally accessible. Okay, so that's our first stage. Second requirement. Now we're tasked to record that whenever somebody goes to www.vbcnetwork.com, I want a web server to come up. But that web server will be served by 4 separate instances, virtual machine. Make sense? Now, every time I create a virtual machine, they're going to have 4 different IP addresses. I'm not going to advertise 4 different IP addresses to the world, right? I'm going to advertise only one IP address to the rest of the world. So for that, you need a load balancer. So this is what I have done. This is what my topology looks like. You got a load balancer right here called VBC ELB1. So the customer's public is going to come in through this load balancer. Load balancer will decide which server to send the traffic to. So let's go and take a look at it. So now let me delete this because otherwise it's going to cost me money. Yeah, I will delete that. I will delete everything from Singapore.
So it will.
Sorry.
So when you delete that instance, it will delete all the network and everything.
As most of the thing will be associated will be deleted, but you gotta be still careful. Make sure you delete the right one. So I'm gonna delete the elastic IP, because elastic IP, if you don't delete it, or if it's not deleted, you will be charged for it.
So Faisal, when I'm doing the practice, how I'll be doing this?
Just do it and practice and delete it. Within 12 hours, you won't be charged. They give you 12 hours. And even if it's charged, it's like 50 cents. Come on, man. Not a big deal. Disassociate. Uh-oh. Does not exist. So maybe delete it. Uh-oh. Okay, I have to create an instance that okay, I'll take care of this later. So let's go to VBC, go to North Virginia zone. That's where my voice bootcamp data center is deployed. So you'll notice that in this I have 4 EC instance, 4 server already installed, just like the one I just did for your so 4 virtual machine has been created. They're called
Can you put up in Zoom, please?
I have 4 virtual machine created right there. It's called VBC server A, B, C, D. Each one of them has their own static IP address. If I click on the static IP address and I go to the web server.ip, it says, welcome to server A. If I go to server B, copy the server B address and paste it, it will say welcome to server B. So to make sure you see the difference, I kept those name as A, B, C, D. Okay, but if it is my website, you won't know, you won't tell the difference because it's the same thing, whichever server is serving by. So all I did so far is I have a VPC, I have subnets, I have my 4 instance. What I'm going to show you right now, how do we generate the certificate and create our own load balancer. Okay? Create our own load balancer. Okay. So first of all, let me go to certificate manager. I'm going to delete my existing certificate that I have. So I'm going to generate a certificate for vbcnetwork.com. Okay? So I'm going to say request a certificate. Now, in order for you to generate a certificate for a domain, you must own that domain. Or you must have a way to confirm that you are the owner of the domain that you generate, or you have contact of the owner who's generating the certificate for. Otherwise, I could generate a certificate for Microsoft and try to hack the system. So because I own the domain, to verify, they're going to send me an email request. Okay, let me see if my email is open. Yep. So what domain? I'm going to say vbcnetwork.com. But what if someone typed www.vbcnetwork.com? I want to secure that too. So I'm going to say add another name, www.vbcnetwork.com. What if they say, you know what? Somebody loves Faisal Khan so much, he searched for faisal.vbcnetwork.com. Am I going to keep joining? Or I can say, you know what? .star wildcard. So if you type any of these name with anything else on that before that, it will be authenticated by the same certificate. So I don't have to purchase them separately. This is called wildcard certificate. Okay. So I'm ready to go. Next, I'm not going to do DNS validation. That's a pain. I'm going to do email validation and review. I'm going to submit. And I wait for my email. There we go. Bunch of email comes in. All you have to do is sit and then keep confirming them. Yes, I confirm. I approve. And you got to do it for all the email they sent you. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Whoa. Whew. I think the DNS was easier. Okay. Now you can refresh it to see if it got issued. Sometime it might. So I will go back here and say, you know what? Okay, it has been issued. So I don't need to validate any of the other one. As long as it gets issued, you're fine. You're done. Okay. So now certificate is ready. You know what? It's free. At Amazon, at GoDaddy, where my current website is on, it costs me $80 a year for one certificate. And I have to buy 10 certificates by this month for my new project that I'm working on. Now, $80 for 10, that's about $800 for my certificate, right? Guess what? Now it's going to be free. I'm saving $800 for moving to Amazon. Now, my web server is costing me roughly around $60 a month multiplied by 12 months. That is $720. $720 a year plus 800. That is $1,500 a month. Year that I'm paying for my web server. Okay, so let's see how much is the saving is. So based on my design, this is actually live right now. Based on my design, my budget looks like that I'm going to be paying $46 a month. No money for the certificate. Now, if I multiply $46 a month into 12, oh, what happened? $46 into 12 minus $1,500, I'm saving close to $1,000 a year. That's a one trip to Thailand for me. Okay? So you can see the significance of moving to Amazon. So my certificate is ready. My servers are ready. Now I need to do the load balancing. So I will go to my EC2. EC right there. And what I'm going to do, go right here. Now let's take a look at the elastic IP address. I have 4 static IP address, one for each one of my server. I got 4 servers, right? I got 4 static IP address that I have attached to one of my instance. So 4 IP address, but none of them are going to be advertised to my customer, because I don't want them to remember 4 of this IP address. They're going to say, screw this company. Okay. So I'm going to go to load balancer. So under load balancing, there's 2 items we must configure: load balancing and target group. So the way load balancer works, okay, the way load balancer works is a traffic will come in, to LB, and LB will distribute it to instance. And LB keeps checking if the server is up or not. If this server is up or down, is going to remove it from, if it's down, it's going to remove it from the group. Make sense? Okay, but how I'm going to make sure that the LB does that check? So to do that, I have created a page on each one of my server that says health check. So to show you that, let me show you what I've done. I have created on this, after the IP address, if I type checkme.html, welcome to VBC health check. So the load balancer is going to look for this file. If that file responds okay, it's going to assume the server is up. See, I can not only I can monitor a website based on the page, I can also say look for that particular port number is up or not, or if the database is up or not. I can do very detailed health check. Okay, but every server has this page ready. Check me health check. So now on this load balancer, I'm going to create a load balancer, and I got three choices: classic load balancer, network load balancer, application load balancer. Now the classic load balancer is the old technology. Amazon does not recommend you to use that. Network load balancer is that if you are load balancing to various other applications other than web server, like a database server or cache engine or movie server or streaming server, whatever. But if it is web server, Amazon recommend to choose application load balancer. Okay. Now, network-based load balancer will load balance based on port number only, TCP or UDP port. But the application load balancer only supports two ports, HTTP and HTTPS. And if you want to use a free certificate, you have to choose the application load balancer or classic load balancer only, because network load balancer do not support certificate. So I'm stuck to one particular load balancing. So I will choose create application load balancer. It's gonna ask me for name. I'm going to say VBC ALB application load balancer 01. It's going to be internet facing because facing the internet. If I want to load balance the internal to my network, between the server and database VLAN, I could say internal. Now it's going to ask me, what do you want to load balance on? Port 80. Okay. Listener port 80 and then HTTPS. I need to support both of those ports. Okay. Then it's going to ask you which VPC, voice bootcamp. And I must have two subnet for this to work. And it tells you that IP address will be assigned to you by AWS. That is the IP address that I need to advertise to my customers, not the server one. That is the IP address that I must advertise to my customers. Okay?
What is this two instance?
These are my server.
1A and 1B.
Yeah, so this is 1A is the one of the zone,
Yeah.
one data center. 1B is another data center.
Okay,
For redundancy.
You create one server, 1A and 1B.
Right, for redundancy purposes.
But we are advertising only one IP form. Then how to go to the other if one is down?
It's called a DNS-based load balancing. I'll show you in a minute. So, configure security. This is a certificate. Which certificate do you want to use? So remember the VBC network I just created? I want to use that certificate. And configure security group. What port should be allowed? I have create a port called Voice Bootcamp Security Port group. That group only allows 3 ports: HTTP, HTTPS, SSH. Okay. Now configure routing. Now this is what you're going to decide how you want to route the traffic to. So this is the routing part right here. Okay, so there's two things. You got the listener, right? If I go back, right, oops. You got the listener. This is one target. Listener is what you want to listen from the customer. Listener is what you're seeing from the customer side, what they are asking you to serve. They're going to ask you to serve HTTP or HTTPS. That is called listener. Load balancer is listening. So you go to the net target. Target means what the server is going to respond to. What port on the server do you want me to forward this request to? So the customer is going to type HTTP and HTTPS, but our server, we're going to say only HTTP. Why? Because if I want the certificate, then I have to configure all sorts of certificate on my server. But it's possible you can do that. So I'm going to say new target. I'm going to call this HTTP, or I can say web port. I'm going to HTTP, and it's going to say, what is the health check? Remember health check? Checkme.html. Checkme.html is going to look for that file on those 4 servers. If one of the server responds, server goes down. Okay. So click register. Next. Now I need to say which other server are going to be part of this group. All of them. Right? And they're going to listen to both port 443. I don't think I need 443 anyway, because I'm only listening to one port, 80. Right? So what happened if a customer is sending port 443 to the load balancer will transfer it to port 80. But so the security is from the customer up to the load balancer is encrypted. From the load balancer to the server is unencrypted. Make sense? All right. So review. And I'm done. So now I just have to wait until this is initialized. This is the name they're going to advertise. So this is the name you're going to have to give it to your customer. Hell, I'm not going to give that to them customer because they won't even remember any of the stuff. So what I have to do is I got to copy that. I have to go to my DNS server, root 53. Now, Saeed, you know how you ask which subnet is going to go to? Well, that we have no control of. So that URL that AWS gave is pointing to both subnet.
Okay.
So I have to go to my zone, VBC network. And when somebody type this www, I'm going to say target, alias target, that address. I'm going to paste the address right here and save the record. I got to do the same thing for VBC. Niteshda. Okay, and I'm going to say I'm going to give it about 5 minutes. So let's take a quick 5-minute break, and it will take 5 minutes for the load balancer to complete, and it's also going to take some time for the DNS server to propagate. So let's take quick, actually take 10-minute break. So I'm going to add a record. It's called Yo Mama. And I'm going to put the same target alias, same URL that I got from the load balancer. Now, you see how load balancer did not give you an IP address? Rather, they gave you a name. The reason behind that is that load balancer itself changes IP address regularly for security reason. So what Amazon does, it automatically, instead of giving you IP address, they give you a name. The problem, and I think they do it intentionally, so that you use their DNS server than other DNS server. Why? This alias you can't put it on anywhere else, on GoDaddy, or any other DNS. You have to put an area code as an IP address. Only the AWS Route 53 allows you to put an alias as opposed to an IP address. Okay, I tried that in GoDaddy and I couldn't figure out how. So I think they do it unintentionally. Okay, now obviously my DNS is going to take some time because I just tried that anyway. Let's try that. Flash DNS. Okay, let's try. I'm going to create another record. Let's call this Asia.
Sir, can you please zoom a little bit?
Sure. This one is better. So I'm creating a domain called a subdomain called asia.vbc network, and I'm pointing to the alias that is coming from that URL right there, that LB URL, and you create. And if I go back to here and I type asia.vbcnetwork.com, voila, habibi. See, no problem. And if I secure it, and it's still showing as secure, you see that? Why? Even though I did not put the word asia.vbcnetwork.com because of the dot star wildcard, I can put whatever name I want, it's going to be secure. And if I want to pay that out of GoDaddy, it would have costed me $1,000 over all my domains that I have.
Every domain,
$80. Or $300 for 10 subdomains. Okay? So now, what I want to do is I want to go and purchase 12 domain. Just to show. So I'm going to say, look for domain vbcpod1. Check to see if it exists. So pod 1 is available. This is for my rack. Yeah. Pod 2, check. These are for my rack that I have for a workstation for students to practice. bbc3.com available, check. bbc4.com available, check. bbc5pod.com available, check. Now I can only purchase 5 at a time. Okay, 5 at a time. So let's go and where do I? Okay, continue. Yeah. All my address is correct. On my AWS is correct. Continue. Okay, so my administrative contact is correct. Technical contacts, manage DNS for new domain. Yes. Do you want automatically renew? I'll keep it on. It's my business. I have to spend. I have to invest.
It's just starting, right? We'll get a student.
Yeah, so every one of you guys are responsible for getting one student each.
Once I get job,
See, I already purchased. I didn't even complete. I didn't even realize. By talking to him, I already purchased it. So now, these are in process. While this is in process, I will go and add purchase VBC pod 6. VBC, right? Yeah. Pod 7. Pod 8. Pod 9. Pod 10. Okay, so I cannot continue, fine, because 5 maximum, continue, verify, nothing is changed. I'm still saying me, purchase. See now, I got my 10 domain that I've been waiting for a long period of time. I was planning to purchase this last Sunday, and then I wanted to show you guys, but I was crossing the fingers and hope someone else doesn't take it. It has been a nightmare for me, because if someone take it, I'm done. Okay, I tried pod 1, pod 2, pod 3. All the pod was available except pod 9. Someone took pod 9 for some reason. So now I have purchased 10 domain. So I can generate 10 certificate. But the problem is that if I want to generate 10 different certificate, what's going to happen to me is that I have to create 10 different LBC, load balancer. Because I can only assign one certificate to the load balancer. Does that make sense? Okay, so I will show you a trick. Let me finish this. It's still in progress. So I can generate one certificate with all the domain I own. All the domain, voice, bootcamp, everything. By simply going to keep, let's say, certificate manager, request a certificate, and just simply keep adding it. vbcpod1.com. Okay, vbcpod2.com. Yeah, all I can do .star vbcpod1.com. Okay, all star vbcpod2.com. But it's okay. I'm no longer in a hurry right now. I've got my domain. Take it if you want now. So next week, my purpose is that I needed to register this 10 domain, because one of the courses that we do, which is called Cisco Meeting Server and Expressway, which requires us to use different domain from customer coming from internet and different domain we're going to use from internal. So that's why I wanted to register that, and I also wanted to show you how that works. Now, once the domain is registered, all I have to do is do the same thing. Go back to, see, it's still not ready. Showing me 2 zone. So it might take some time. So let's go back to my load balancer. Load balancer.
Load balancer is actually a server, or
Load is, it could, I mean, I don't know what they're using, but it just could be a server, or it could be a routing device. I mean, I don't know what Amazon use. Okay, so now you'll see that this is the, once the load balancer is created, this is what they are giving you as an address to give it to customer. We're just mapping it to our domain. Now here in the listener, this is what the customer is going to send the traffic to, port 80 or port 443. When the call comes in here, it goes to target, and target is right here. So target is called web port. So if you look at here, listener, it says default forwarding to web port. So what is web port? Web port is my target, and target is what the server is listening to. So all I'm saying, send it to port 80. So even though customer from outside is typing HTTPS, which is port 443, load balancer is converting it. Okay. Now health check. Sorry, if I go to back to load balancer. And if I go to monitor, right? No, where is it? Oh, right here. Oh no, that's on the port group, target. Okay, target. See, all are healthy. Okay, so now I'm going to shut down one of them. Let me find the IP address of one of these server. Oh no, I have it here. I have it here.
All servers are in 1A.
Sorry?
All servers are in 1A. Available.
For now, I just kept it that way. I didn't segregate it. Okay, so you notice here, I got 4 servers. They're all healthy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect to one of these server. What's the IP address? 31. 31. So this is one of the server, Linux server. I think this is server A, as you can see. Now, on this server,
How you got the IP for the server?
remember I assigned the static IP address myself, elastic IP. So I know which IP address of one server right here. So these are my static IP address assigned to this instance. And if you want to go to the instance, server A, if you select server A, you'll see the IP address right here. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm going to log into my server, root. I'm going to go to the folder where my web servers are. Again, don't worry about this stuff. This is Linux guy's job. I hate Linux stuff. And this is under HTML folder. I have these 2 files. See, checkme.html. I'm going to remove that. Checkme.html. Yes. And it's gone. Okay, now let's go see what happened to the health check. So, target group, refresh. It may take a certain time where it's going to do a 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and finally it's going to detect that the page is not available, and it's going to give you, it's going to remove it from the group. Okay, so let me just wait for that. I think I have I have options to threshold is 5 second, unhealthy threshold, I don't know. And if I want to modify this, it's going to cost me more money. Okay, so the default one is free, but if you want to customize this, it's going to cost you more money. So you got to be very careful when you are practicing this. Okay. Yeah, I think that timeout, it should be anywhere between 2 to 120 seconds. See, unhealthy. You guys see that? Harish, Saeed, Swati?
Yes.
Okay, now let's go and see what happened. If I refresh, go to B, refresh, go to D, refresh, go to C, refresh, B, refresh, D. A, B, C, D, 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 D. A no longer comes in. Okay? So, even a small company like me can have a very powerful load balancing network.
So what happened to Cineplex?
Huh?
Cineplex. Last day when it was the booking time came,
Okay.
the site was dropped down.
I don't know. That could be many other issues. I mean, even Facebook was down last week or month.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, look, nothing is bulletproof. They say that a network, you could take a network, put 300 floor down the ground with a nuclear power enabled graded door with the army, with all the ammunition you want, you still not going to be guaranteed it's going to be secure. Okay.
There is a door there.
Huh?
Too many people actually try to have tickets.
Okay, so now I'm going to put the health check back. Okay, I'm going to put the health check back. Welcome to BBC health check. Okay, so health check is back. Of course, it's going to take some time for this to detect, but let me see if it's there. Yeah, the health check is back. So I'm going to wait for 120 seconds for this to come, and automatically it should come back online. Okay. So while we wait for that, let's take a look at my cost. So now I'm going to synchronize. Oh, sorry, let's go take a look at my Route 53. What happened to my DNS? Oh, Amazon is going to love me today. They just make 120 bucks for me. Okay, oh, still progress. So it takes about, okay, no, there you go, 12 zone. See that, guys? 12 zone, hosted zone I have. All my domains are there. Now,
the load balancer always does round robin. Like
in this case, round robin, but there are some algorithm you can change.
oh.
Okay, so pod1.com, I can go in, and now I can create my host. So let's say I want to choose duplicate. So I'm going to go duplicate. I'm going to go to the load EC load balancer. Oh, I need to get the URL. Remember, I need to copy this URL. Okay, right there. And in the route 53, I'm going to say that if someone type bbcpod1.com, I want the traffic to go to this alias, which is the IP address or address of the load balancer. All right. So now I am ready. So let's see what happens if I type this name. BBC. Sorry, HTTPS. www.bbcpod1.com. Maybe it's still taking some time for the DNS, because DNS was saying still processing, right? So I might have to wait. Yes, it's still processing. So maybe something back end they're propagating, whatever. Okay. Technically, it usually happens right away, but sometimes they say that it takes about 24 hours to 72 hours. So I might not have to be able to show you until the next class. Okay. So this is what you can do with AWS. So now let's say I want to put a database. I want to put a Microsoft SQL Server database. All I have to do is go to database RDS. Okay, and create a database. It's very simple. Very simple. Now, one of your lab guides shows you how to create relational database, and you can practice that for those who are in our classes. So the beauty part of the what are you going to do the most, as far as job wise, where I see the potential as an AWS engineer is not about how do you use the database or how do you use this SQL query. It's about how do you set up the network. How do you secure it? How do you integrate that with Voice Bootcamp Data Center, for example? Now, here's what I'm planning to do for you guys. I have ordered an AWS Direct Connect. That means I'm going to have a 1 gig pipe from AWS office or data zone to my office. And we're going to integrate Cisco. See, I don't want to teach you guys how to pass the associate exam. You want to pass the exam, come here and I will guarantee you pass the exam. I want to teach you guys how to really use this and elaborate it. You have no idea how many AWS guys come to me, send me an email, say, hey, I passed, but I cannot get a job because I don't have experience. Well, duh. Because they don't have a hands-on experience, right? I would like you guys to try this out. Now, Saeed and Harish, for next week, you're going to build the exactly same thing that I have done, and you're welcome to use one of the VBC pod domain. Okay, use that to generate the certificate if you do not want to purchase your own. Perfectly fine. But I'm not going to be using them for a while. I just wanted to reserve it because I've been kept saying about this, and I think that some of the students might get an idea and they might reserve it, and then.
No, I bought one, but is that enough?
Yeah, and one is enough. Use that to do all your practice. Remember, create your web page. Get someone, if you know, have them develop a web page as a consulting firm, because Google will index that web page.
Okay.
And when somebody search how much you have, whether you have a job experience or not, you put that web page that you work for that company. And when they search, that's going to come on a Google web page. Right? The company exists. See, it's going to take 3 months for Google to index your website. It doesn't have to be fancy. One page is fine. Or copy and paste. I don't care. Copy some AWS consulting firm. Get someone from Pakistan or India. Pay them like $100 and say, you know what? Finish the page by Friday. And have the page hosted on your own AWS account. Remember, you get to use the blog for free for the rest of your life. The WordPress blogs is free for the rest of your life. That becomes your web page.
Later on and post it too. Is that possible?
Sorry?
Can I create the web page later on and update it later on?
Whenever you're ready. But you understand why I'm saying that. As you're practicing it on your own, you have a real idea about what is the real world is going to be, and that becomes your work experience. Because the people do search which company you work for, and when they search for the site consulting firm, and go, oh yeah, that's it's a Google, it's right there in the Google. They have the phone number. You can get a phone number for like $2 a month. Actually, if you have the Fongo application, it's free. It's unlimited inbound call, free. Get that, and that builds your profile. All right. Now, I'm gonna have this video available to you guys by tonight. You're gonna watch this and build your own. So let me see. Let me show you what Cloudcraft sees it. So in a Cloudcraft, I'm going to start a new one. New blueprint, VVC production network, and I'm going to go live. I'm going to scan because this is associated with my account. This application is associated. It's a Visio diagram kind of application, and I have scanned it, and I'm going to say auto layout. Voila. So it has my VVC data center, so that's the computer room, and these are the domain I own. You print it out, you tell them, I designed this. This is not a folder. This is a cloudcraft.co. That's the, remember last class I showed you? It's a 30 days, I think 15 days free trial, but I purchased an account anyway, so I use that.
How much it cost?
It's $40 a month.
$40 a month.
You can use my account. Just don't. Now, based on this, if I go to budget, look at my budget. It's still $46 a month. Now, if I did not have the load balancer, it would have cost me $20 a month. Based on what I have, I would be saving $40 a month, almost 70% off. But because I wanted to use a load balancer, because I did not go with a higher, bigger server, I'm going to distribute. Now, what I'm going to show you, not next Saturday, the week after that, what I'm going to show you, I'm going to put a database behind this 4 server. I'm not going to purchase a database from Amazon. I'm going to build my own database. Actually, this 4 server already has my database. But I want to put 2 server more, because remember, I get to use them for free for 1 year. I'm going to put 2 more server behind this, and then I'm going to replicate them. So I will show you that not next weekend, but probably a week after that. Okay. So this is so what we did in this lab, we focused on VPC, we focused on load balancer, what the load balancer does, we focused on subnetting routing, we focused on DNS. These are something you will be asked on your exam. So you got to use them. So I have recorded this for you. I have recorded the last class, which is available on your folder. You can download it for those who are in that class, only available for them. And I will upload this video for you by tonight. Any questions?
The last class we didn't finish that thing. So this is, I think, the last class we are doing now.
Well, that's all. I mean, all I have to do is I copy my website to the folder. That's it. But my website has a lot of database, so I have to be careful as I copy them. So once I copy them, I will show it to you.
Which room, like I'm not capable of that room, that my name is there?
I will share it to you anyway right now.
Right.
I will share the link anyway. So yeah, Saeed, I will copy the database because it's going to take a lot of time. Because instead of one server, I have 4 servers now. So I have to replicate. I have to test the replication before I actually go live. Hello, hello. Hello. হ্যাঁ চলে আসেন চলে আসেন আমি 7টার মধ্যে আছি হ্যাঁ আচ্ছা আসেন did that make sense to you, Saeed?
Okay.
Because I'm using 4 server, as initial plan was only use 1 server, I could have moved my website right away. But because I have 4 server, if I move my database, because my web server is like database oriented website, although it's a website, but it's a very complicated website. So I have to put the database in all 4 server and make sure that if I make an update on site 1 server, it gets populated to all the other server. Otherwise, what's going to happen is one customer might see one pricing, other customer will see different pricing. Right? So I will have to slowly migrate that because I have decided to use this big model that which was not initially planned. Wow. Oh, okay.
Waiting for you.
Hello.
Okay, so do you have a slideshow showing this thing instead of like the live you recording right now?
I have the slides for the topic, but not for this project. I will give you the slides for the topic.
Okay.
Because this is something that, to be honest with you, I'm actually doing a live migration, so I can't make a slide of it, right? Now,
yeah, because when I'm here, I cannot see the slide. By the time the next slide comes in, I did not see what happened.
Okay, so
Because of the delay.
what I recommend is that repeat the video at least 2-3 times, and then try to do it slowly, one frame at a time.
Okay.
Okay, and if you, like I say, if you have any questions, just send me an email. Now, not next batch, next class, the weekend. What are we going to do? I'm going to show you as a class. We're going to build this network. Where did it go? I'm testing this for you guys. So if it works out, then we're going to try. Where did it go? Okay, I'll show it from you here. New blueprint. Clone. Oh, library. I want to ultimately once I get my direct connect from Amazon, I'm going to show you how to build this network on Amazon. and I intend to keep that. See, what I found out, the direct connect is going to cost me a flat fee. So that direct connect is this link, the link between AWS, the link between the AWS and my data center, which is the room next to you. Okay, we're going, once I get that connection, because it takes about 10 to 15 days, because it's actually provisioning from downtown to my office. Okay, once we get that, then we're gonna have to learn about VPC gateway. We're gonna have to learn a lot of more advanced VPC routing. So remember, creating virtual machine is easy, but that's not what we are going to do as an engineer. Our job is to do the networking part of it. The people who are going to make the most money for the next 3 to 5 years are the people who are going to be specialists in migrating existing infrastructure to AWS. Not the people who are building it from the scratch. Because nobody's going to build, very few companies are going to build it from scratch. So you need to focus on, look, certificate, like I said, you want to write the certificate, come tomorrow, write the, pay for it, we'll get it done for you. Well, you'll get it done for yourself. We'll help you get the pass exam. That's not a problem. But my goal is to make sure that you know how to build this. That's why I'm not focusing too much on the exam right now. Okay? You need to be able to build this with an ability to migrate an existing data center. A lot of people are practicing just how to use this and on the fly. But we gotta be able to transfer data from this office to Amazon and vice versa. Okay? Not only that, we should be able to use our laptop here and access services in AWS. Like saving files, saving data, transferring videos, whatever. Okay? Mostly focused on networking and security. But if you want to specialize on database, then there's a separate field, which I'm not specialized in. Okay? So the 3 areas that you want to focus on: AWS Associate, Solution Architect Associate, DevOps Associate, and Security and Networking. These are the 4 certifications will be your best marketable certification right now. Okay?
Excellent.
Yes.
We are left with only 2 classes in this course now.
Oh no, don't worry, we'll continue.
Okay.
Don't worry about that, my friend. You will be an AWS expert.
Just stick with this.
Yeah.
Don't leave us.
Okay. So this is going to be one of our project, which will, I don't know when they're going to send it to me. Once I get the connection, I'll do it. But in the meantime, we might try this project first. Well,
The line which is coming from AWS,
it's a logical line, correct?
not physical.
No. So we will ultimately, we're gonna next week. By the way, Harish and Swati and Said, you're actually building this one in a smaller scale. Okay, so you're building this one right now at a smaller scale. So far we're building this one next weekend. Once I test the database replication, then we're gonna build the backside. But in between, we're gonna have another load balancer. The good thing is that I can get a load balancer for 2 days and then pay for 2 days and then delete it. So I have no problem showing it to you for 2 days. Okay? I'm not that cheap. I'm not rich, but I'm willing to spend money. Okay? So we're gonna slowly learn this. This is probably the next one we're gonna do. Okay? And then ultimately, once we get the direct link, then we will try that. All right? So that was it for guys. Thank you.